What's going on, y'all? You're checking out the Winner Circle here on thisis50.com. Your host, June Archer. And today I have the amazing Miss Kathy Romero. If you don't know, you will soon find out. Kathy, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Thank you, June, my brother. So sweet. Thanks for having me here today. I'm grateful for you.
It's amazing to have you here. You are an event planner for the stars. You make magic happen where people say to you, Kathy, I want to get married, I want to have an event, and they give you a bag of money and you create this magic that happens.
That simple.
For those who don't really understand what a event planner is, how would you best describe that?
Well, I think that, what we do best is speak to our clients and listen to the vision that they have. Most clients understand already what they want. They just don't know how it can be executed. And I think the magic of what we do is that we listen to their dream and we create it even bigger than what they're expecting, right? It's going above and beyond the expectations.
Now, for you, how did you get into this business?
Kind of funny. I was a finance major, which means that had nothing to do with this, right? And
Exactly.
as many of us kind of end up when we follow our hearts and the path, in the correct path. And I think this was certainly the correct path for me. I've been doing it for 22 years, and the way that I came to it was actually very serendipitously, which I love, right? I told you about serendipity. And so I got out of college and started working for a financial institution and realized that I didn't really want to be there because there wasn't that human touch. It wasn't warm enough for me, and I knew that I was missing out on something. So I decided to go work for another organization who did meetings and events and was all over the world, and people were traveling, and I thought that was kind of sexy at that time. I was young and wanted to do that. And so that's exactly what I did, and I started out jokingly, and here I am 22 years later.
And you ended up running that company.
I did.
And then starting Kathy Romero.
Yes. So I started as probably the lowest person on the totem pole there, which was amazing because I learned pretty much the ropes. I knew what every department had to do in order to make things work there, and that helped me a lot. And then after being there for about 14 years, in 2008, when the economy went down,
Tanked, right.
Totally tanked. So did that company. Even though we were very successful, most of our business came from Big Pharma, and Big Pharma was a mess. And
Right.
so because of that, they closed their doors, and I was left without a job. And so I decided that because it was the worst economy, I would start a business, right?
It's a smart thing to do.
Yeah, well, I knew that if I started a business then and I thrived, later it was going to be amazing. And, it has been. It's been rough, it's been tough, but I've crawled through all of the good, the bad, the ugly, everything, and I'm here today.
And that's the life of an entrepreneur.
That is.
For those who are looking to do anything in life, for any career, any business, the ground floor exists, and there are levels. For you, when you said you started at the bottom,
I did.
how important is it to learn things from the ground up in order to become successful or to someday run your own company?
I think it's really important, and one of the reasons why I say it's very important is because if you don't know what needs to happen in order for things to take place in your own organization, then you don't know how to run that company. I think you need to understand what the lowest person in the organization does, and lowest I mean by whatever the smallest task is, not that they are less than you because they are in that position, right?
Right.
But whatever that smallest task is, you need to understand it in order to understand how to get to the bigger tasks. And once you put all those things together, then of course you're able to manage. If you don't know what your people are doing and how they're supposed to do it, then how are you going to manage them?
You can't lead anyone.
You can't lead people that way.
Now, event planning is something special, and for some people it's a matter of just tying a few ends together, but you have an eye for this. Like, for those who follow you on Instagram, all of your images, whether you're in them or if you're not in them, if it's of an event, they're beautiful. When did you realize that you had a gift? I like to say that people have an eye for things, but it's really a gift. When did you realize you had a gift for this?
I don't know. I've always just loved, entertaining, fashion, style. I think, when I see somebody with grace and I see even a person or a location that just exudes grace and comfort and everything else, I just want to be a part of it. And I think because of that, I'm able to sort of like have that eye that you're talking about. But I'm grateful for it because that's a gift. And I recognize that. I've embraced it. And because I have embraced it and recognized it, I think that I'm also nourishing it as the years go by. And so I'm excited to see what happens next.
Well, I think we're all excited to see what happens next. For you, when I talk about these beautiful images that you produce and put out, there's a sense of grace, there's a sense of style, there's a sense of feeling amazing. For you, how important is it to put your best foot forward and give about the right images for our young women of color who, in these days, are looking at Love and Hip Hop and they're looking at Housewives of whatever county, and nothing wrong with those shows,
right.
But how important is it to be a positive female, especially female woman of color, image on television or on Instagram, social media for you?
It's extremely important. I think, leading a meaningful and intentional life has always been at the core of who I am. And I think that I want to express that via my images, via the way I conduct myself, via the way I speak to other people. And I want to be able to help other women understand that, yes, we're all different and, we're not created the same with the same sauce or the same juice or whatever you want to call it. But there is a possibility for all of us to act with grace and dignity and love and just embrace each other with whatever we can. And also, with that, to uplift each other as we go, right? Because that's the important thing. And I think that for me, I also have an 8-year-old daughter. I want her to understand that, leading a meaningful life, that living with intention, that looking at people in the eye with dignity and understanding where they come from, not only, where you want them to go,
right.
Is important in life in order to kind of continue to go on this magical path.
That's amazing. I mean, our young people need it, but people our age, people who've been here before us,
your age,
they need it. The kid look good for 20-something, I ain't gonna, what I mean?
No.
Little aftershave and little haircut.
You still have a baby face though,
Listen,
which is great.
I'm
He's
a
like,
baby.
listen,
I'm gonna take that.
I like that.
I'm gonna take that.
Yeah.
For those who are looking to navigate life, I feel like planning an event, throwing an event, and all the things that come with it, right? People being late, people not showing up on time, the flowers aren't here, the table arrangements weren't where they needed to be. How do you equate throwing an event and navigating life for those who are watching or listening, who may be in a tough spot,
right,
who are looking to figure out their next steps, who are looking to graduate from college and find a job, looking to get out of a bad marriage, or looking for someone to fall in love with? How do you kind of manage both worlds and say, you know what, this is kind of like life, and you get around things and you move things. How would you equate event planning and planning to life so that someone could navigate their journey?
It's so relevant, right? Life, event planning, they're both a production. And we are...
I love that. Hold on, you gotta repeat that again. Life and event planning are both a production.
They are. They're both a production. And I think during productions, right, we have to understand the next steps, but we have to take the first step first, right? And so the same is with life. In life, we have to take our first steps. We have to nourish those steps. We have to be careful about where we're going. And so the same thing goes for productions, right? And so when you're trying to learn how to navigate, how to, create events or how to live your life, the number one thing is to live through transparency, I think. Living through transparency and understanding that whatever you produce in this lifetime is going to move you towards whatever other lifetimes, you have.
Now, that's wisdom, and that wisdom is either experience or mentorship. For you, who has mentored you and given you the best piece of advice that you share, or you go back and you sift through and say, you know what, I need that because such gave that to me and I need that today?
You know what the magical thing about that is? That sometimes we look for mentors above, right? We look for people who have gotten there, who have actually reached certain heights. And for me, sometimes it's important to just see the person next to me. The person next to me sometimes has so much wisdom that has not been tapped into. And I think that for me, speaking obviously for myself, mentors come in every shape and form. And I'm very careful not to set my eye on mentors that are too high, because sometimes we are disappointed, right? Because we want mentors to act a certain way, do a certain thing. And so for that reason and many more, I actually try to take from the people that are around me. Sometimes we're looking for it so far and it's right next to us.
I've been to a few of your events and they are amazing. They're well put together. How important is it to make sure that the people that are attending, the patrons, have a great experience? Because you can see everything looking beautiful and food tastes good, but the customer service in terms of the experience is terrible. And for you and the people that work for you and with you, the experience has always been A+. Is that something that you teach, educate, you figure out who the best of the best is? How are you able to make that magic happen?
I think you really call those people into your universe, and I'm not kidding when I say that. You attract like-minded people. When you put out or when you put forth great energy, it comes right back to you. I've been blessed to have a great team who understands that the experience is what matters. I don't care if I'm servicing, a high-profile client or if I'm servicing somebody who's paying way, way less. To me, it's if I took on the project, it's happening, and it's happening with grace, with dignity. It's happening at its best. And so I have managed to create a circle of staff, employees, production people, outside, freelancers and things like that, who understand that that's really the gist of my brand, that that's really the gist of who I am. And because of that, I've attracted those people who in turn attract more of those people. So this is why we deliver excellence, I think. That's
amazing. You, in the situation, I've seen you at these events, and the way you move is different. The way you move is magical. You are juggling a lot of things. You are obviously multitasking, right?
Yes.
Because you have the bigger picture in mind. How are you able to maintain a work-life balance and still be able to have these high caliber events and go home to fall in love with it again the next day?
You learn to empower people. I was just talking about this with somebody else like 2 hours ago. When you decide that what you do is so high level that you make it your responsibility to train other people the best way that you can train them so that the outcome is absolute excellence, then you learn that you have to empower them to create, right? To see the vision and to see themselves creating that vision alongside you. And for me, that has been extremely helpful. Some of my staff joke that I just come in the room and I'm like floating, and they're doing everything else. Everybody has their task.
Right.
But the same goes for my life balance, If I don't empower others, I'm constantly going to be doing that squirrel run, right? I'm constantly going to be trying to find that nut all the time. But if I am empowering others to create, to grow along with me, then that makes it so much easier, And it really does work.
What is the best piece of advice you could give someone who's looking to get into event planning or anything that they're trying to accomplish right now? The world is someone's oyster, but sometimes we feel like we block our blessings because we don't have like-minded people around us, like you mentioned just a while ago. We block our blessings because we feel like the fear of failure or the fear of success is waiting in the wings. What is the best piece of advice you could give someone that's trying to live their dream right now?
I think you need to, first of all, live your life authentically. That's number one. And number two, you have to polish your craft. There is no fake it till you make it. You need to really do it. You need to put in the work. You need to be kind to others. You need to understand that success happens in 10 years, 15 years, not yesterday. And you need to embrace that, right? You need to understand that things will happen when they are supposed to happen for you and for others around you.
Right.
So that's it.
20 years. Kathy Romero, 20 years
20
and
years.
counting.
I'll be 25.
What is next for Kathy Romero brand?
I think the sky's the limit for my brand, and I really do mean that. I want to do so many great things, but one of the number one things that I want to do is empower other women to create, to move themselves forward, to actually navigate on this earth, understanding that there is power in unity, that there is power in us uplifting each other. And I think that my brand, for whatever reason, the tribe that I call my tribe, you know, understands that, and they want that. And I feel like they really need that from me. It's almost as if I feel responsible about the things that I already know. I'm supposed to impart that to others. They're looking for me to do that, and I humbly say that. It's not that I'm way up here, it's that I feel that whatever little I've learned along the way, it's easy for me to impart and allow them to also create alongside me.
Not to put you in a box, because I've never wanted to do that with anyone, but as a woman of color, how important is it to you, especially in your industry, to, as they say, run faster, jump higher? Have you gotten any resistance as a woman of color and a woman in your industry? Because this industry could be very cutthroat,
Right.
but you seem to navigate it very well from what we see. But for you, were there any stumbling blocks or any doors closed
Of course.
that helped you get to where you are now and get you past where you've been?
You know, I think for me, I've always seen myself as a human being first, you know, and I think when you get that type of resistance, when I feel the resistance coming, I know something greater is on the other end. So I just wait, you know, I don't push. I don't force things. I think that I do what I need to do in order to make things happen, but I do not force. And I know that as a woman of color in my industry, which is the event planning industry, sometimes that's not easy. There's not a lot of us out there servicing the high profile market. And I feel like there have been probably less opportunities, but I've created the opportunities for myself. I've talked to people, I've walked the walk, you know, and I actually have asked for the pieces of business. So we shall not wait for somebody to say to us that, oh, this is what you deserve. It's your duty to understand what you deserve and to go out and search for it.
So don't ask, don't get is the motto.
What? Yes.
So how important is networking? Because I feel like people that may be watching, listening, they want to do something, but they don't really realize the power of networking, the power of shaking hands and kissing babies. I really believe in the old school way of doing things, right? How important is it to network, to be out amongst people in your industries to get to the next level?
It's extremely important, but for me, I almost don't really call it networking, right?
Okay.
For me, it's connecting. Like, when I see you, I feel you. I really do see you. I hear you. And when I meet new people and I'm in a room with others, I want to make sure that I understand where they're coming from. What has been their path, you know, versus understanding, obviously, I know what mine is, so I want to know about you. I think if you do have a networking opportunity, you have to make it a connecting opportunity because that's really what works.
I love that.
Okay.
Where can we find you? Where can we follow you so we can see what's next with Kathy Romero and the brand?
Well, I'm at kathyromero.com, and you can also follow me at Kathy Romero on Instagram because I love me some Instagram. I'm on Twitter, not as active, but I'm also on Twitter as the Kathy Romero. And I'm live, so if you see me, just say hi. Hey.
She is amazing. Trust me, the minute you meet her, you will feel the spirit. Ladies and gentlemen, please check her out, follow her. And if you have something important coming that's on its way, whether you get married, 50th birthday party, 60th birthday party, bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, doesn't matter what it is. If you're celebrating a divorce, make sure you hit my sister up. This is June Archer, Kathy Romero, The Winner's Circle. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.